Well, it's 2 days later, and we're finally getting to the pizzas. Hello friends, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I am Vicki, and you're with Grammy in the Kitchen. So we're finally getting to the pizzas. First, we need to make our pizza sauce. So I have a can of diced tomatoes, a can of tomato sauce, a can of tomato paste. We might not need all of this, but we know how to save tomato paste. I have some oregano, basil, garlic powder, onion powder, salt and pepper, and our 2 pounds of mozzarella. So without further ado, let's get this pizza going and have a great day. Now I like the flavor of diced tomatoes, but the husband does not like chunks of tomatoes. So I'm actually going to put them in the food processor just to puree it just a bit. That should be good. So there's still a little bit of chunks in there, but not a lot. We're going to put a can of tomato sauce. We're going to start off with about a teaspoon of tomato paste. Let's get that mixed in there really well. And we don't have to cook this sauce because, well, one, the tomatoes are already cooked, and two, it's going to cook on the pizza. So I just want to make sure we don't have any chunks of tomato paste in here. Now I am totally guessing, but I'm going to keep track of the measurements of the spices and the herbs just so I know what we need for future. So I'm going to start off with a half a teaspoon of onion powder, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a whole teaspoon of basil, a whole teaspoon of oregano, a half a teaspoon of pepper, and a half a teaspoon of salt. Alright, got it written down so we'll know in the future. And I'm going to go ahead and add a teaspoon of sugar just to break down that acid from all these tomatoes. Alright, so we'll start with a teaspoon of sugar. Let's give that a taste. We're not there. Alright, so I'm going to add another half a teaspoon of salt. So that's a whole teaspoon. A little bit more pepper. Another teaspoon of basil. Okay, to me that is perfect. We're good. Alright, so in here I have a half a teaspoon of garlic powder and onion powder, 2 teaspoons of basil, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. Alright, let's go ahead and get started on our dough. I'm going to make this about anywhere between 12 and 14 inches in diameter. And I'm putting it on parchment paper because that's how I store it in the freezer, is on parchment paper. So I just go ahead and make it straight on the parchment paper. I have the pizza stone in the oven warming up with the oven, and I've got it set for 400 degrees. And I like this little roller because it does help keep it even when I'm rolling it out. Because sometimes pizza crust can have a thick outer edge or a thicker crust part, but I like mine just to be even. Alright, that looks good. We're going to put a little bit of sauce right on the pizza. Now there are some chunks in here, but at least they're not big chunks. The husband should be okay with this. And this is the first time we're using homemade sauce. I like to par-bake my pizzas without the cheese. And then when I take it out of the oven, I'll add some more sauce and some cheese on top. And then I'll put parchment paper on top of those, put them on a piece of cardboard, and wrap it up with saran wrap and let it go in the freezer. But now we need to get this in the oven to par-bake. I use a pizza pan just to transfer it to the oven. I'll leave the parchment paper on there and I'll put it right on top of the pizza stone. And get started on the second pizza. Now if you're curious, I did get this bread roller or pastry roller from Azure Standard. And they're right about the same price as Amazon. But it's convenient for me because every month I'm picking up an Azure order, and sometimes I'll put non-food things in there. Now you can put as little or as much sauce as you want on your pizzas. And when they come out of the oven, I will add additional sauce and cheese before I pack them up and put them in the freezer. Now we're going to go ahead and freeze up the rest of this tomato paste. So I have just a strip of parchment paper. put about a teaspoon of tomato paste. I have a reusable Ziploc bag. And there we go. We've got 4 tablespoons of tomato paste going in the freezer for the next time we need tomato paste. I use cardboard to put them in the freezer just to hold some stability to the pizzas. Because the pizza's not in contact with the cardboard, it is on the parchment paper. I just save these pizza boxes, my cardboards, and I just reuse them over and over and over again. As well as my pizza bags, the dough bags. I just keep them together. I'll put all 4 of these in another Ziploc bag and I'll stick them in the freezer in between use. That way I'm not wasting bags and I'm not wasting oil. One pizza's ready. Second pizza going in the oven. Add a little bit more sauce to the top. It smells delicious. Why didn't we do this before? I don't know. You can put as much or as little sauce as you like. We like ours just saucy, but not extra saucy. Put some cheese on it. This is 2 pounds of shredded mozzarella that we shredded together. So I'm going to put about a half a pound, and I'm not weighing it. I'm just guesstimating. You're more than welcome to just go ahead and put your toppings on it now. But this is how we like it. And then I put another piece of parchment paper on top, and when it cools off, that's when I'll wrap it up. I'm just going to set this one aside. And now we're going to get working on the 3rd pizza. And just repeat the process until you are done. I do like my pizzas just to have a slight golden brown around the edges. That's when I take them out. So that's the 2nd pizza. This is the 3rd. Going in the oven. All right, let's put some sauce. And some cheese. Put as little or as much cheese as you like on your pizzas. Top it with parchment paper and set it aside. Now we're going to go ahead and do our last pizza dough. Now you can freeze your pizza dough as a dough ball, but then you have to wait till it thaws, comes to room temperature, in order to roll it out. I'd rather have frozen pizza than frozen dough, but do whatever you feel comfortable doing. This makes it convenient when I want to have pizza. I can just grab a frozen pizza from the freezer and put it straight into a 400-degree oven on top of the pizza stone that is also heated up to 400 degrees. And then I can finish cooking it at that time. If I want to add toppings, I'll put toppings on it before I put it in the oven. But this to me is convenient. And also the husband can just grab a pizza and cook one when he's hungry. Or when the grandkids over here and I wasn't planning on or prepared a meal for them. They'll eat pizzas. They love pizzas. So I can just grab a frozen pizza and just put it in the oven and cook it for them. And if my daughter and her husband and my grandkids come over and it's close to dinner time and I wasn't prepared to feed 6 people versus 2 people, I can just grab a couple pizzas, throw them in the oven. Everybody loves pizza. So you can freeze your dough as a dough ball, but that takes planning. And to pull the dough ball out of the freezer, let it thaw, let it rise, make the pizza, cook the pizza. This way it's just convenient. Just grab a pizza from the freezer, throw it in the oven, poof, you have dinner. But do whatever is convenient for you and just get in the kitchen and do it. I made this dough 2 days ago and I just kept it in the Ziploc bags in the refrigerator. You can do that also, but you need to use it within 3 to 4 days. If not, the yeast will get deactivated in the dough and you don't want that. So you want to make sure you're using fresh dough or dough that has risen when you're making pizza. So I could make pizza dough, leave it in the refrigerator, and make my pizzas accordingly within 4 to 5 days. Or I can leave it as a dough ball, put it in the freezer, plan ahead to make the pizza. Or I can just make pizzas, put them in the freezer, and just throw in the oven instantly. But do whatever is comfortable for you. Whatever it takes to get you in the kitchen and making homemade meals that would nourish your family's bodies with ingredients that you know that are in that food. Just get in there. Have fun. Okay, enough ranting. Let's get this pizza dough rolled out. Third one's out, fourth one going in. Add some sauce. And some cheese. And we're going to set this aside. So this is my 4 Ziploc bags. And then I have a 5th bag. And I have it labeled pizza dough bags. And I'll put these in the freezer, and the next time I need to make pizzas, just grab this from the freezer. I already have my Ziploc bags with the oil ready so that the dough could do its rise in the refrigerator. So in the freezer, these will go. I'll use these for months. I don't even know how long the last set lasted. Like I said, they're somewhere in the freezer. I can't find it. But this is going to go in the kitchen freezer. The last pizza. Go ahead and add the rest of the sauce. And that was the perfect amount for 4 pizzas. I think this one might be just a tad bit saucier, but that's okay. And the cheese. Okay, the pizzas have cooled off. Now we're going to go ahead and get these wrapped up. And there's our 4 pizzas. So we have the cardboard, parchment paper, the pizza, and parchment paper. And I do double wrap them in plastic wrap. And then I turn it at a 90 degrees and I wrap it going the other way. Alright, now I'm just going to wrap up the rest of them. Now we have 4 wrapped pizzas. Now we're going to go ahead and put these in the freezer. That is our pizza dough bags and our frozen tomato sauce. See, I have 1 frozen pizza left. And whenever I have 1 left, that's when I know I need to make more. And I put the oldest on top. And just like I was saying when we were doing the pantry talk, always put your oldest items up front and your new items in the back, so you go through your supply in the order so it doesn't have expirations, or you don't have to worry about the expiration date. I do the same thing with my freezer. All the newer of the same items will go to the bottom, and the older same items will go on top. We're following the FIFO procedure. FIFO. First in, first out. So I'll put my new pizzas underneath the old pizzas to make sure we use that one first. Don't have to worry about the expiration date, because if you saw that video, if you didn't, I'll put a link somewhere up in here, why I don't follow expiration date. It'll be a part of the pantry talk. But we go through pizza so often. When I know I have only 1 pizza left in the freezer, I'll go ahead and make 4 more. So there are 5 pizzas in there. We will use those within 2 weeks, 3 weeks max. At the longest I've had pizza stay in the freezer is 4 weeks or 1 month. But I'm assuming as long as they're consumed within 2 to 3 months, you're fine. It's just they're not vacuum sealed, so you can get ice crystals in there. You can get some frostbite on your pizza crust or on the sauce, and we don't want that. So mine does not stay in the freezer that long. But I believe you could probably keep them in the freezer between 2 to 3 months. I wouldn't go any further than that, just for the quality of the pizzas. Nothing wrong with it. It'll be fine. But I'm talking about the quality of the pizza. So I just want to say thank you for hanging out with me today while we finally finished the bread series and we got the pizzas in the freezer. You are a blessing to my heart and you're a blessing to my channel. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend time with me in the kitchen. And until next time, y'all have a blessed day. Bye, friends.